One of the main features of our client app is the shopping cart. To access the shopping cart, you can click the shopping cart item up in the top right here. Now you'll see that we have no items in our shopping cart, so we're given a link back to the home page in order to browse for some items. Now, if we click one of these items, we get sent to the item page, and we're shown this Add to Cart button here, but currently that has no functionality. So in this video, we'll be setting up the shopping cart functionality using Vuex ORM. The requirement for the cart is that any items can be added to it in whatever quantity the user likes. So let's add a cart field to our item model. And we'll make it a number. And we'll give it a default value of 0. So we can use that 0 value as an indicator that the item is not in the cart. Let's now add the logic for the Add to Cart button in the item view. So you'll see in the template that the Add to Cart button has a click event listener, and it calls this method Add to Cart. Down in the component definition, here's the Add to Cart method. So let's go ahead and put an item update method call in here. And that's going to allow us to increment the cart value of the specified item whenever that button is pressed. Now this method takes an object as an argument, and the first parameter is where, and this is going to allow us to specify a query for finding the item or items that we want to apply the update to. So you can assign a single value to where, or you can make it a function. Just make sure that you either provide an ID or an array of IDs. Now you'll recall for the item view that the item ID will be a route parameter. So what we want to do here is assign to this the value of the ID from the URL. And so now the where value will get us the correct model. Now what we need to do is set the correct value on that model. So the next property we're going to specify is data. And again, this can have several values. It can be an object, but in this case what we want to do is actually assign it a function. And this function is going to have an argument item. And then in the function, we're going to increment the cart value by going item.cart ++ like that. Coming over to the browser now and looking in View DevTools at the Vuex tab, after we now click this Add to Cart button, you'll see that we get a new mutation at the bottom here, Entities Update. And looking at the state for this, if we check in our entities here and in our items, go down to data, and we just have this one single item here which corresponds to this one. If we open that up, you'll see that the cart value is now 1. And every time I press that button and reload the state, the quantity is increasing. With that done, if we now go to our shopping cart page again, you'll see that it's still empty. Looking in our cart view component file now, you can see here in the template that the way it works is that we display these cart item components by iterating through a cart property. Now down in the component definition, you can see that this cart computed property is simply returning an empty array, which is why we don't actually see any items being displayed on the screen. So let's change this so that it actually returns all the items from our store which have a cart quantity greater than 0, and that means that this page should render correctly. So firstly, we're going to need to import the item model at the top of the component definition. So we'll say import item from store models item. Now we can't use the item find method in our computed property because it only works when we're specifying an ID. So instead what we're going to do is return item, and we're going to use the query method. So this returns a query builder, and what it will allow us to do is chain a where method, and we can pass a function as an argument to the where method. Now the method that we pass should return true or false, so you can think of it just like the native JavaScript filter method. So the function that we pass is going to have an item instance as its argument, so every one of our items will be passed to this function, and what we need to do is make the argument item, and in the body we just have to return item.cart is greater than 0. So that means of all the items that we have, only the ones that have a quantity greater than 0 will be returned here, and those are the ones that obviously belong in the cart. Now to finish this query, we need to call get like that, and hopefully that works. So back in our app now, if we add an item to the cart and then go to the cart page, it doesn't look quite right, but you can tell that we do have something now rendering in our cart view.